Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Daily Debate. As we did see in the past break, Egypt has a different taste for the holy month of Ramadan, and the secret is all in the details. We will be focusing during the first episode in the holy month of Ramadan on a Sunday for the Daily Debate on the new administrative capital and the latest inauguration by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of the Egyptian Islamic Cultural Center, as we did see on the first day of the holy fasting month of Ramadan during the Suhoor banquet, as well with the workers at the new administrative capital, signaling a new republic, signaling a new launch for the new republic and the new vision for the mega city, the new mega smart cities all over Egypt with the new capital. But we'll be starting straight away with the first piece of news and the item of news regarding the top stories for a Sunday, and it comes through the presidential activities of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, who directed to continue the current efforts which aim at improving the healthcare services for the citizens, pointing out that the health file should be a top priority for the state. The President's directives during the meeting with Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, the Minister of Health Khaled Abdel Ghaffar, Head of the Armed Forces Financial Authority General Ahmed Al-Shadli, and the Head of the Armed Forces Engineering Authority Major General Ahmed Al-Azzazi. Presidential spokesman Ahmed Fahmy said that during the meeting, the Health Minister reviewed the latest developments of the projects currently being implemented in the health sector, including developing Nasser Institute to turn it into an integrated medical city. The spokesman added that the meeting tackled the latest developments in the presidential health initiatives and the positive outcomes in enhancing the citizens' health. Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and we will be heading to the first report of the program for tonight, which comes through the directives made by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the past week during the Suhoor banquet and the inauguration of the Egyptian Islamic Cultural Center to be relocating the ministries and the employees and the citizens to the new administrative capital. All the directives and the statements made during the past week by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi regarding the new administrative capital as a launch for the new republic and a new vision for the sustainable development of the republic in the upcoming report. So stay tuned.
President Fattah al-Sisi directed the government to intensify efforts and start relocating public employees to the government district in the new administrative capital. Construction work on the 700 square kilometers new capital, located 60 kilometers from Cairo in the area between Cairo Suez and Cairo Ain Sokhna roads, started in 2015 and houses more than 6.5 million people. The city boasts a government district with 10 ministerial complexes that will house 34 ministries in addition to the headquarters of the cabinet and the House of Representatives. The new capital is connected to Greater Cairo area via various transport network systems that include the country's first monorail train. Last week, President Sisi inaugurated Egypt's Islamic Cultural Center in the new administrative capital and joined workers in the new administrative capital last Thursday in Suhoor banquet of the first nights of the holy month of Ramadan. The President offered greetings for all attendees on the holy fasting month of Ramadan. The President thanked workers in the capital for their outstanding efforts in building the new capital over the past years. He said this area was a desert and now turned into civilizational and architectural edifice. Egypt's Islamic Cultural Center in the new capital is one of the prominent projects carried out in the new capital and one of the most important cultural centers in Egypt and Africa. The center has 160 trading shops and large spaces accommodating for 116,000 prayers. While the mosque itself accommodates some 12,000 prayers, the mosque has got 3 international certificates from the Guinness World Records. Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, Sheikh Ahmed al-Taib, greeted President Sisi, Egyptian people, as well as the Islamic and Arab nations on the holy month of Ramadan. Al-Taib said that President Sisi's inauguration of Masr Mosque and the Islamic Cultural Center in the new administrative capital is a symbol of Islam's embracing of worshipping science and knowledge in Islam. He stressed that Islam cherishes science and knowledge, referring to several verses of Quran in this regard.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I am honored to be having with me over the program for tonight Dr. Khaled Dahawy, the head of the accounting department at the Faculty of Commerce at the American University in Cairo. Thank you very much for being with us tonight, and happy Ramadan.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you very much. How did you spend the first 4 days of Ramadan?
Well, they passed very quickly.
Yes, exactly.
It's amazing how quickly Ramadan has been passing.
Yes. We did see the first suhoor, or the first day of the holy fasting month of Ramadan. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi at the new administrative capital, having suhoor with the workers at the capital, with the engineers at the new capital. How do you see the significance of such a step, to be inaugurating the Egyptian Islamic Cultural Center at the same time at the new administrative capital?
Well, I think it's very important that this is set as one of the goals of the administration of the country, signaling that this is one of the most important moves in the Egyptian society. And I think it's very important that that signal comes now, because it's very important to tell the economy, the community, and the environment that this is coming, that we're moving. This is not a new idea. It's been on the table for quite a while. And several presidents have failed to actually make that move before when it's really needed, because it's not the move itself is symbolic, but the actual impact of it is great. I mean, we're moving out of the old deteriorating capital, which has unfortunately been for many years occupied by or overpopulated by unplanned increases of individuals that it was not built for. And the core is unplanned and dramatic increases. And therefore, you have a lot of pressure on the area that have led to the inability of, if you will, of the capital to sustain the future. Plus, it's very hard to look at the future at a completely deteriorated capital. So I think the message is we're moving ahead, we're moving very quickly to developed area. Not only developed in architecture, but developed in technology, developed in the infrastructure that can carry that technology. Because today the most important thing, or the main player of the game, is technology. If you have technology, you're able to play the game. If you're not, you're way behind. And technology needs a lot of infrastructure. And I think the old capital cannot carry that infrastructure. And therefore, there is a need for a new capital to carry the new load, if you will, with the new technology on its back, to be able to satisfy the needs of the technology, which is becoming really hard to do with all the technological, I would say, lack of technology in the old capital.
This is not a new idea, as you mentioned, and President Sisi mentioned that several times. What is the difference this time around to be having the political will and to be implementing this will and those ideas on the ground very fast as well, in the space of 7 or 8 years?
Yeah, as you mentioned, and President Sisi has mentioned, this is not a new idea. It has failed several times before, because we've always looked at the idea backwards. I mean, we've always looked at how can we make it succeed while keeping the new capital? How can we? But it had to have, sometimes you have to have a painful operation to succeed. To make your patient live, sometimes you have to make difficult and painful decisions. And I think the courage of making such decisions is very important. And not backing, because there is a lot of pressure coming from people on the ground. We can't move, it's so far away. What happens if we move? How come all the problems that the services will we receive? How will we come back and forth? So there's really two plans. Either people will live in the old capital and travel for their work, and that has been actually is in the plan, because we've seen all these different ways of transportation, fast transportation, that allows people to commute. And this has been a direction in the world where people are now commuting back and forth to work. And the second is people living in the new capital, which is the other plan where services, housing, communities, schooling is required, and it is being planned and being implemented. So you have to have all of these moving together, and that's what makes it very hard to do, is that you cannot just say, we're going to move and then people will move. You actually have to devise a full-fledged plan that includes almost every part of the economy together and our environment, because it is a mega change.
If we can consider the new administrative capital as the future of Egypt, the smart future of Egypt, how do you see the past or the present of Egypt nowadays? The current capital, Cairo, with the other cities that we have nowadays, not including the 20 new cities that we are currently constructing or implementing. How do you see the government dealing with this file?
I think it's going to be interesting, because you have one of two ways. Either they will kind of pick up pace and develop the technology in these cities. Some of them are semi-equipped for that, some will die. And the other side is we'll see more and more transportation from people who move, like we used to see people flooding from Said, Upper Egypt and Delta to Cairo. We'll see people flooding to the new cities where there is more job opportunities, better life, better services. I mean, the whole package is the same.
Yes.
It's one big package. If I can see that I'm going to move to a place that will offer me a better job, a more decent job, more services, better environment. Because I mean, you go to the governmental environment today and you seriously cannot even go to the bathroom. The whole structure is deteriorated.
Yes.
So if you're going to offer people the ability to get this better job, better life, with gardens, with oxygen and so on, better services, and hopefully all the required services, people will move. It has happened before, it happens all over the place, but you have to make sure that you offer the package together. You can't say, we're going to move, but there will be no schooling. You can't say, we're going to move, but the hospitals are not ready. So I think you have to have the services first. Once the services are there, people will move. Because it is definitely, I mean, it's enough to feel the pollution in Cairo. When you go out to the suburbs now of 6th of October or the 5th settlement, and you see the air is a lot better, the environment is better, the traffic, the sound pollution is less. You have a better life, and we unfortunately don't account for that. That counts for money. Because people who live in pollution, continuous air pollution, sound pollution, and so on, you spend a very, very hefty invoice in health, for example. And nobody notices that, but they're exactly linked to each other.
They wouldn't be as productive.
Exactly. And the new world is actually all about sustainability. This idea of sustainability with goals for sustainability that talks a lot about environment, talks about human capital and the right of people to have a decent life and all of that. This is how you sustain development. Because you can develop, but sustaining development is a completely different story. And if we are not going to start seeing that, we're not going to be able to move, or we're going to be a fictitious move. Only moving people physically is not enough.
Yes.
Having the services, people will move. Having the good life, people will move. Having education, health, and this type of services, I think many, many people will move.
Yes. This concept of a package for the citizen who is willing to be leaving what he has nowadays and to be moving to the new capital or any new city for this matter. Do you think, or do you see that there is some kind of communication between the government, between the ministries, and asking the citizens what they need, what they see in the future, in their future that they need in order for them to be relocating, in order for them to be moving happily there? Do you think there is this kind of connection?
It's starting, it's happening, but I don't think it's enough. It's always, there's no enough to that, because the more you know, the more you understand about the needs of people, the better you can prepare the environment for them to relocate, the faster they will relocate, and the easier they'll relocate. I think we can all agree the basic needs need to be there.
Yes.
I mean, schooling, health, different types of services have to be there, and people will move. Many people in the old capital live in below standard situation, and have lived for so many years. And I think many of them would be eager to live in decent houses with gardens, with a good place to raise their children. If we are able to support that, that would be great. The basic needs of a human being, which I think that in many of our suburbs in Egypt, and I'm calling them suburbs, but we have major problems with that. And people feel they are below the human standards.
Yes.
So if you offer them human standards, they will relocate. The problem will be if you relocate people and these services are not ready. So I think it would be a better plan to have these things ready and then ask people to relocate. Because the other side would be very harmful.
Yes, we've had this example or process with eliminating the slums, like, for example, in Sayyidah Zainab, in Maspiru even, here nearby, and they were relocated to Al Asmarat and even in Alexandria. How do you see this process? Because we did see the whole operation.
I think this was a successful process for people who relocated. However, I would have rather seen the area of Maspiru change to big Hyde Park type of garden for the Egypt that Cairo needs. But anyways, for the people who moved, I mean, they moved from a place that was really dreadful. People who, and I've visited that area before, and it really was in below human standards. And people used to live, and they thought this was life. But now when you move to these better places, I think you get better accommodation, you get better children, you raise more balanced human beings, that as a result is a better starting point for education. You get a better product, which is the human being. We have about 60% of our population below 30 years old.
Yes.
So you have a great asset. However, you have to treat it well. You have to give it a good chance, kids to be raised as kids, to play, to enjoy their life, then a good education, then a good workplace. If you do that, you get great performance. And we've seen this with almost all of our population that travels abroad. Once they're put in the correct system and the right operational system, they succeed dramatically.
Yes. On the other hand, do you think that building a new capital, building about 20 new cities, smart new cities, can be the cornerstone for the future of the country, for the new republic?
I don't think it's a choice. I think it had to be. It had to happen. It's a must. It's very late, actually. We have done two terrible things to ourselves. First of all, we've lived around the Nile, which is the most fertile land, for years.
Yes.
We've actually misutilized the land. And then we have increased in vertical increase, where we have uprised the number of people. The density is horrible. It's not the problem of Egypt. Never had a problem because we live on 5 or 6% of the land, but it's the best agricultural land around the Nile. And then we decided to make it worse because we never moved out. So we don't have a population problem. We actually have a density problem. We decided to live around the Nile in a very small area and live very close to each other. So it really is not a population, but it's a density problem. To diffuse the density problem, you have to move out. And if you don't move out, we would end living on top of each other. We see now that we have to have almost all our streets are almost becoming 2 levels, with a street and then a bridge, or a street and a tunnel, and so on. All of that is an example of a high density. We have a system where we're unable, our basic structure of water, electricity, unable to handle the number of people and population. Sewage system, the same. So I don't think it was an issue of should. I think it's an issue of must, and we're very late. And that move is going to help in building a better human being, which at the end of the day, if you have this energetic 30-year-old population, if you treat them well and you make them live well, they're going to end up offering a lot better than the population that's living in, as we said, slums and below standard human areas.
Regarding this file, one of the statements made by Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli in the past week is that we have increased this opportunity to be living on about 12% of the surface of the country. Do you think that this is an improvement, to be going from 6 or 7% to 12% in the space of 7 or 8 years?
I think it's a dramatic, 12% for me is not a goal. It's not enough. But if you look from 6 to 12, we've doubled in 7 or 8 years the amount of land. And that is in itself a good goal.
Yes.
But I don't think it should be the goal. I think we should populate Egypt. We have plenty of places to increase, especially if we are planning to also come back to agricultural and agricultural industry, which is no more the old agriculture ways of fertilizing the land, the old ways, but there are new ways. If we're going to do that, we need the land, we need to build the land, we need water to get to the land, and then be able to start this agro-industry, which is completely different than agriculture. It talks about moving back to companies with thousands of fadans that are more economic, and to use more technological, again, coming back to the technology, being involved in the agriculture process. And we need to learn from those who have actually did that before us, and there are plenty of countries. And I think we need to go back to the same time when, in the old ages, where we used to send people to expedite how the countries did, and then learn and start applying. And technology and agriculture have seen or have resulted in many increases in production, in amounts of production per faddan, and all of that is highly needed if we're going to better utilize that move. Again, come back to the idea of the whole package. You can't do any more, I'm just going to move and then start thinking. We have to have areas around these cities have to already be planned for agriculture and also industrial development. But I think agriculture is a lot easier because we have the land, we can import the technology. With industry, we need foreign direct investment, people to come and invest in machines and so on and so forth. So I think it would be a lot easier to go and do agriculture. And we already have very, very good success stories, especially in the area of oranges and some of the fruits that we've been very successful in producing.
Doctor, you mentioned that what we have had here in the past 7 or 8 years, ever since 2014, under the tenure of President Sisi, required courage from the political leadership. But how did you see the response of the citizens? Do you think that they have patience to see what will be happening in the future? Do you think that they have understanding for the decisions that are being made?
I think very little understanding, and it's normal. We need more and more communication for people to explain what's happening. In Egypt, unfortunately, we're very well known for secrecy. We build the project and then people know about it.
Yes.
But I think if we have, and we show the people the pre-plans for the next 10, 15, 20 years. This is the plan for the roads, this is the plan for the cities. And we occupy these places and we educate people, why are we moving in this direction? Why did we put the street here and not here? Why is this bridge going there and not there? Why are we connecting, for example, Ain Sokhna port with this area and so on? People are very smart, but unfortunately, once you leave the level of the ministries, very little communication happens. And I think the most important thing is transparency. With the new technology, and again coming to technology, and especially in the communication area and media, if you don't, as a government, come out and be transparent and tell, there's other people and other entities that are willing to come up and fill the void with information that makes their story better.
Yes.
And their story might be against the government real story. So if the government doesn't fill the void and communicate, and the secret is communicate, continuous communication, telling everyone in general the plan for Egypt 2050 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, letting people join you in the plan instead of waiting and not knowing what's happening. People will come out and say, and I don't mean from within Egypt, from outside of Egypt, from many different areas. We have a lot of enemies, and the government has enemies, and they would be very interested to tell people. And if the government doesn't say, someone else is going to fill the void.
With misinformation.
Exactly. And the problem is it's always misinformation. Because, I mean, there is no information that's completely neutral. Everybody sees the world from his point of view.
Yes.
And I don't think there's a human being or a news anchor who's completely free. We're all biased as human beings. We're not machines. So if we, the government, does not fill that void, someone else will. And therefore, it is very important for the government and the governmental news agency through new ways, through the media, to start finding where do the 30-year-old listen to. I mean, I remember when we were at the university, we used to send posters for events, and we would put them on the walls, and we would call people to come to these events. They never showed up. And then we learned that they don't see these things. The new generation doesn't see, like we did, papers being stuck on the wall. They needed other technology to reach them. And then we started putting emails, and then they never came. And then we realized that they're not like us. They wouldn't read unless if the subject of the email, for example, is interesting. So the key to attracting the population, this young population, is not in the long-winded statements, but in a subject of an email. If you know how to write a subject of an email, attract them to open the email. Otherwise, they'll throw it in because they get so many of them. So it is very important to learn communication. And if we don't, someone else will communicate. We, as the government, don't, someone else would. And that is a problem.
Yes, and Doctor, we will be heading to the second report of the daily debate for tonight, communicating that the new administrative capital is the place to be investing for the future. All this and more in the upcoming reports, so stay tuned.
As Egypt's economy continues to expand and develop, the new administrative and economic centers must be in locations that will allow them to grow. Egypt's new administrative capital is the future economic hub of administrative and economic growth. Upon President Fattah al-Sisi directives, the new administrative capital is the beacon of progress and the foundation of a brighter future for the people of Egypt and those who invest in it. By investing in Egypt's new administrative capital, businesses and investors will be able to take advantage of a wealth of opportunities and a platform to build a brighter future. This new city is an opportunity to be part of a global hub of innovation and progress and to contribute to a sustainable and prosperous future for the people of Egypt. The new administrative capital, located east of Cairo, will reshape the country's economic landscape and provide new opportunities for citizens. With a total estimated cost of $45 billion, this project is an ambitious undertaking that is sure to usher in a new era of prosperity and growth. Egypt's new administrative capital includes a residential area with more than 250,000 homes, as well as business, commercial, and educational districts. This will create jobs and attract professionals from around the world. Additionally, it is equipped with world-class amenities such as smart city infrastructure, an international airport, and green spaces. The new capital city is meant to be a major driver of economic growth. It will be home to more than 5 million people and will generate more than $90 million in annual revenue. This will create a strong economic base for the country, allowing it to invest in other areas. This project is part of a larger vision of Egypt's future. The country has already taken many steps to become a global leader in technology, innovation, and economic growth. The new capital is yet another initiative to make this vision a reality. It is an investment that will pay dividends for years to come and will help Egypt become a major player in global economy. By investing in the new administrative capital, Egypt is making an important statement about its commitment to progress and growth. This project will undoubtedly help create a brighter and more prosperous future for the country and its people. It is truly an investment for the future.
Welcome back. You're still watching the daily debate. Dr. Khaled Dahawy, the head of the accounting department at the Faculty of Commerce of the American University in Cairo. How do you see the opportunities for investment, foreign direct investments, to be pumped into the new administrative capital nowadays?
I think the opportunities are endless. However, before jumping to the opportunities, we need to think about the political stability. We need the country to stabilize in the sense of economics, because we've been having devaluations, and devaluations are very harmful for foreign direct investment. Because if you devaluate 50%, that means if I come in with $100 and I start working, and you devaluate 50%, I've lost half my money without starting to work.
Yes.
So I think the economic playground has to stabilize, and I think this is a very important factor. foreign direct investment will not come unless the currency is stabilized. Because if you keep devaluating, again, you lose your money before starting to work.
Yes.
Because I put my $100 and it's for, let's say, 30 pounds. If I come back and it's now for 40, then I've lost the 10 pounds before operating to bring back my $100. So it is very hard to do that as long as the devaluation keeps happening. I think we need to stabilize the currency, and if we do that, it's endless. We can have the new Dubai if we want. But to do that, again, and I know I'm repeating myself, the currency has to stabilize because nobody will come as long as the currency is not that stable. And we've seen even now with the new companies being offered for sale that it's not like before. People are not coming and buying right away. Not even one company has been sold. But it's, again, the whole, you have to stabilize. People will not come invest where there is risk.
Yes.
Because if I have the world to invest, and that's where all of these foreign direct investments, they look all over the world. And even if they want to invest in developing countries, they want to stabilize in economy. They don't want to come and they can't even build the feasibility study because of the changes of the foreign currency. So I think the lesson number one for us will always be that we have to stabilize the currency. If we do that, then I think foreign currency will come, foreign investment will come.
Another important point is the relocating of the ministries, of the employees, of the citizens to the new administrative capital, because we have seen on the first day of Ramadan, President Al-Sisi insisting that we need to be relocating as quickly as possible of about 34 ministries to the new administrative capital. How do you see the importance of such a step? Because this happened even to you at the university.
Yes.
It happened from downtown to the fifth settlement. What are the benefits of such a move?
Well, there are logistical issues, of course, until you stabilize. But I can tell you, I mean, we used to have a campus that was very small, classrooms were small, it was hard to build the technology. We now have a beautiful campus outside of the skirts of Cairo. It's full of technology because the infrastructure was there and it was built for the technology. You can't do that for downtown. The old downtown. Yes. So I think the move, again, as we said, is a must. But the government has to take the executive decision. And I think the government did, which is we will move. Because people will not move. We like our comfort zone. And we enjoy living what we know. What we don't know is always not good. But if we combine communication, as we said, about how good the new life is, what is the pluses in the new life, plus making the decision to moving the household workplace to that area, I think people will start moving. But it is very important to make sure that we have the services ready. It will be very harmful if we do all of this and the services are not there. I will not move if my kids will not find a school. I will not move if there's not a hospital for my family, if there's not a university, and so on and so forth. So again, coming to what you put very eloquently, the package.
Yes.
If you can provide the right package, people will move. And they will willingly move. And it will be a lot easier process, more efficient process than you have to move because we told you so. If you can show people what a better life they're getting than the life in the slums, they will move. Because we're all logical human beings. And if we can get a better life, we will move.
Yes, exactly. Dr. Khaled Dahawy, the head of the accounting department at the Faculty of Commerce at the American University in Cairo. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate. Happy Ramadan and congratulations on the newborn.
Thank you very much.
Anytime. And this brings us to the end of the Daily Debate for tonight. I will be leaving you, however, with the main activities of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi over the past week. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi witnessed the shoulder-to-shoulder celebration in Cairo. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received a high-level Russian delegation that included the Deputy Prime Minister, and Minister of Trade and Industry of the Russian Federation, and the Special Representative of the Russian President, in addition to the Russian and Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, the Vice President of the Russian Central Bank, and the Russian Ambassador to Cairo. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi gave his directives to raise the income tax exemption to 36,000 Egyptian pounds annually from 24,000. The directives come as part of the state's efforts to mitigate the effects of the global economic crisis and its repercussions on citizens. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and his spouse witnessed the celebration of Egyptian Women's Day and the Ideal Mother. The celebration of the Egyptian woman and the ideal mother for the year 2023, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi announced the issuance of a presidential decree of pardon and the release of all debtors, including that the decision was implemented to spend the month of Ramadan with their families. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi directed the continuation of work to improve the tourism experience in Egypt in all aspects, including increasing the benefit from the infrastructure of airports, hotels and tourist destinations that have been built and modernized throughout the country during the past years. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi directed to continue intensive efforts to add 3.5 million acres in the new Delta, Toshka and Sinai to the agricultural area in Egypt. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi visited the police academy at dawn. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi participates in the suhoor table with workers at the new administrative capital. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi inaugurated Egypt's Islamic Cultural Center at the new administrative capital. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi conducts an inspection tour of the construction works of a number of roads and axes in Greater Cairo. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi met with Councillor Omar Marwan, Minister of Justice, to follow up on the efforts of the Ministry of Justice to expedite the completion of citizens' cases before the courts within the framework of the comprehensive development of the country's litigation system.